Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Ralf, happy to be here. And for me, from my background here with medical science, so to see my PhD, I wrote in medical science, but as mentioned, working in shipping and logistics, in pharmaceutical research and so on, different kinds of fields also in business. And that's why for me it's so important today for you to connect here the dots between molecules and corporate boardrooms, how we work in the future. So that means how Alphafold is redefining leadership and business. And normally you think like Alphafold, what has this to do with leadership and business? But I will tell you this. So let's start with the molecules. Let's start with proteins. A little bit complicated, but that's okay. For the last 100 years, scientists have discovered proteins, the structure, the 3D structure of proteins. And that was costly, time-consuming. You could imagine with all these kind of X-rays and microscopy and all the different kinds of trails, often requiring these single protein structure. It took a lot of time. And over the last 100 years, scientists have discovered 210,000 proteins, how they look like in their 3D structure. And now, in the next phase, there come a big change on that, because Alphafold identified protein structures more than 240 million in roughly 2 years. So that's not, as we know that sometimes, everything today in our today's world is 10x. This is not 10x. This is also not 100x. That's 1,000x. So that's really amazing that Alphafold has identified the structures. So that's nearly all proteins in our scientific databases. And who of you knows Alphafold? A couple ones? That's good, because I show you now what Alphafold is and connecting this. So Alphafold was awarded the Nobel Prize 2024 in chemistry. So, and the interesting thing on that is that was with David Baker, Demis Hassabis, and John Jumper. They are also from Google DeepMind. And the interesting topic on that stuff is that's the Nobel Prize won by Alphafold, by these guys. But what has this Alphafold done, and what is Alphafold? And I will show you in detail. Alphafold, as you can imagine, is an artificial intelligence system. It's AI. So let's put that into perspective. AI, yes, okay, with the humans, the great colleagues, AI has won the Nobel Prize in chemistry. And if we look forward in the next decades, more and more of this stuff we will see, that the Nobel Prize will get awarded towards AI. What does Alphafold? So it predicts the structure of the proteins in 3D, but also it's for drug discovery, it's also understanding diseases better, vaccine development, everything is getting faster, more precise, it's helpful, connecting here different kinds of synergies and the dots between science and medical here on that field. And even going further with that, on Alphafold 3, the next iteration, it's also expanding to DNA, RNA, to small molecules. So you see, AI is advancing and getting into bigger fields, so to say. And what's now here the question? How can we connect this now with corporate boardrooms? This is now the question. This is about medicine, biology, 3D, and artificial intelligence. And now there comes the connection to the boardrooms. Let's reflect together. We are living currently in a Barney world. VUCA before, now it's the Barney world. It's brittle, it's anxious, it's non-linear, and it's incomprehensible. What does that mean? Brittle, some things which have worked today are not working tomorrow. We're working with customers, with clients together. It's working, and tomorrow it's not working anymore. Customer behavior is changing. There is, so to say, so much change on taxes, on the governments, and so on. So everything is non-linear, getting more and more brittle, and we need to get used to that. We face that, and we need to get advance out of that, how we work with that in this wave of disruptions and disruptions. So, but in the corporate boardrooms, there's also the AI manager's dilemma. And I call that's why AI manager's dilemma, because you see, you are stuck in this super sandwich position. In leadership roles, You have the board of directors. You have new emerging technologies. You have IT. You have operations. You have internal departments. But you also have new leadership styles or new management methods. Competitors, new products, markets, customers. You see, so many different things are coming here together on us humans. Everything is changing. Marketing is changing. Sales is changing. Customer service is changing. Everything is changing around us, also the customers. And it's a huge pressure on us, also reflecting here with the new technologies coming up. And today, boardrooms are also changing. The way we work. So we need to have an eye on the future and not on the rear mirror, as we have seen that many, many times. Looking on past performance KPIs, the company board should really spending their time on envision the future and asking the crucial questions here. So that means shifting from that outdated quantitative management more to the visionary foresight and the own learnings, the own actions. We really need to do it on our own, and that's also changing. Leadership means also trying out things and doing things, because then you can take the right decisions. Or visionary looking into the future, what does that mean for me, for my organization, for my colleagues, for everyone? So that now means asking the crucial questions and visioning the future. And now if you think about that, what does that mean? What can Alphafold do to my business? We started with the proteins and the molecules. What do you mean? Because if you see that, it's quite simple. Not for me, a PhD in medical science and so on. Proteins, the next step could be polymers, adhesives, glues. That's only one step. New medicine, new materials. That's really the easy next step. You can see that directly. And the interesting part on that stuff, because you don't need to be in medical or biology, that's not the case on the topic. And visioning and understanding the future means also you can simulate the real world, your company, your processes. So that means you can really simulate everything what's here and put the basic mechanisms really to adapt this to new things coming up. I just checked that? No, just going back to that slide, sorry. What I would like to say here, we thought about the polymers and new things coming up. But what's also important here, and the most important stuff here, and that's why I mentioned that, you don't need to know medicine or medical biology, science, and that kind of stuff. That Alphafold, you can directly download. You can use that on the internet. And as I checked today morning, on GitHub, 6,100 people around the world start and liked Alphafold on GitHub. Only 6,100. That's quite a small number, and hopefully that gets increased. So you can just use that, download. You don't need to be an IT expert, because there's also a link towards to use Alphafold directly in your browser. You type in your protein structure, and then it's getting calculated. It took a couple of minutes, 40 minutes roundabout, but you can click through that and simulate it and try that by your own without having any knowledge about that stuff. So that's really changing. But as mentioned, there is more than Alphafold out there. It's just the beginning. And there are really groundbreaking new opportunities out there for new production methods, for new physics engines, for forecasting, for simulations, for manufacturing, for agriculture, for logistics and shipping and nearly everything. And you can download, try it in your browser. And do you need to be an expert in agriculture or shipping or managing a fleet? No, you can just try that out and go onto that. And I just show that here on that side. Just a couple of examples. New physics simulation trains 430,000 times faster than reality. It's just working in your browser. Or just one example, NVIDIA Cosmos. You go onto that. If you would like to have route optimization of your vessels, of your trucks for a company, you go to NVIDIA Cosmos. You don't need to understand it in big. You type in the number of trucks you have, the distance, you go from X to there, Google Maps is connected, and then it's automatically optimizing your routings in real time. So what's the big deal? What's the big problem? And you see that if I have a company optimizing that kind of route optimizations, we better be careful. And that's not only on that business field, it's on many business fields. So that's why it's so changing our world, because all of you here can do that. Just search for it, try it, and if you see what's out there, and you can adapt it. As I mentioned that with Alphafold. Has Alphafold something to do with medicine? Yes, but you can adapt it to adhesives, to glue, to other things. Just try that out. So you see, a lot of things are here changing. So the summary for you today from me is, through the lens of Alphafold, it's really groundbreaking advancements, and you see that a glimpse in the boardrooms here really are changing, and the leadership needs to evolve to adapt it, to see the future. Am I a glue manufacturer? I need to step into Alphafold because the adhesives and the glues are right in front of me. I need to do it. So envisioning the future is really key, and asking the right questions to really get that in your hands. And as mentioned, get the hands dirty. Just try that out, even if it's not in your core field, for your business, for yourself, for your career. That's the next steps. Boardrooms and executives really need to adapt these competencies and doing them by themselves, because otherwise they could not decide. Otherwise they could not see the next future, the next steps, how their company moves into the future, and need to do the next steps, because the competitor will do it. And so better the boardroom will do it also. So it's really a call to action for these boardrooms and the leaders, also to shift from these outdated management to the visionary foresight, because it's all in our hands. We see that directly in front of us, and there's even more to come. If I open the news every day, there are so many technology advancements coming out. If we look back in history, 100 years ago with Albert Einstein and all the big scientists and so on, they opened the 100 years of technology now. And what we see here currently, that's the groundbreaking next step of the next 100 years. Because the telephone and so on, the mobile phones, that's becoming smaller and more effective and so on. That was the invention of the last 100 years. What's coming up now with Alphafold, that's a new groundbreaking new era. That's why I call that not the iPhone moment or the Albert Einstein moment. This is the Alphafold moment for the next 100 years of society and environment and technology and business all around us. Thank you very much.